Hi, we live. We live, y'all. Okay. All right. Hello, and welcome to our very first Read and Wander book club discussion. My name is Yvonne McBride. This is Yvonne McBride Lit Life. And
and I am Keyoka. I'm the awkward black nomad. What's up?
Yes. So while we're waiting for others to come, hi, Sustainable Steph. Hey, H&D abroad. We're so happy that you're here. We thought we would be the only ones.
I'm putting a message in the Facebook group now so people know that we're live.
Hi, Chanel. Hi, everyone. So while hi, Bonita.
Yay, we're not here by ourselves.
We're not here by ourselves.
Was a real fear.
Hi, Adelia. We really thought it would be us and only us on the chat. So first, if you missed the introductions, again, I'm Yvonne McBride. This is Yvonne McBride Lit Life. That is Keyoka from Awkward Black Nomad. And we came together. Let's do the origin story first before we get into the book. Real quick. We met in Morocco during the Exodus Summit gathering, get together. And, we were both writers working in the industry. I liked her spirit. I liked her little shy, not shy, really spirit. And so we connected there. And throughout this year, we have been thinking about what we could do to create some type of writing/reading community. I like books. I have too many books. I buy books and don't finish reading them. Keyoka, what about you?
I also, since I've been traveling, I do a lot of audiobooks, but I have a library that I've had since I was like 10. And it's giving hoarder. It's a little hoarderish. I think I'm one of those people who I buy books with the intention of reading. I'm getting better. So I have read the books that I've bought this year, but there's an entire shelf or two of books that I bought and never read.
So you're doing better than me because I bought about 20 books. I've read 2. Yeah. Okay. So we have that in common. Yeah. And with everything going on with the world, we're not going to talk about that, but with the world, the chaos, the distractions, all of that, I reached out to Keyoka and said, hey, what do you think about
joining a book
club? Yes. So she said yes. Again, we thought we would be the only 2 interested. We're so glad we had people who were interested, people who joined the group, people who read the book. Some of you finished way before me. So that's the origin story, or why we're here. We're hoping this will, curate a community where maybe we have get-togethers. Maybe it does branch off into writing groups. Maybe the management. Keyoka is the management.
I'm more like a silent partner, right? So Yvonne might do writing groups. Like maybe Yvonne wants to get together, right? And y'all can take pictures to let me know. But
she's vetoing me. I have all these ideas. She's vetoing me. My first idea was to have prizes for our inaugural chat. So we have prizes today. The first prize is we have published authors in the room. When the trees finally testify by Bonita Penn. She's in the chat. This is one of the prizes today. She lives in Pittsburgh. She's a fellow writer, poet, and I've attended other writing workshops with Bonita, but I thought this was a perfect time to give her some shine and also award someone in here with her novel. So that's just one of the prizes today. There are only 2. Also, management Keyoka. Management says we will not have prizes every month. This is just for our first launch. So, yes.
I love y'all, but I also love little to no investment. So, if y'all like the prizes, we'll consider. But for right now, no, too much work.
Hello, everyone. Other people are joining us. Okay, so let me look through the chat. Never done. Chanel says she's never done a book discussion like this. Neither have we. Neither have we. So we don't know how this is going to go. We were actually hoping that someone would like to jump on the live with us during the discussion. Just more engagement. So if anyone here who's read the book and who isn't camera shy would like to jump on the live with us throughout to discuss, to give your opinions, we will happily send you the link to join us. Just let us know. Okay.
Definitely. So, do you want to hop in?
Yes.
You want to?
We would like to first do some housekeeping for each month. We will host the chat on either my or Keyoka's YouTube channel. So if you have not, who knows, we might contribute prizes. Hey,
Now we fighting in the comment section, Chanel. Like, I don't want one anyway.
So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. If you haven't subscribed to Keyoka's channel, please do that as well. We just want to make sure that everyone is engaged and that you do not miss any alerts when we go live and talk about the book. Okay, so yes, let's jump in. And I guess I'm showing the book since you did audio.
Yeah. So who in the chat did audio versus reading a physical copy? Because I have notes. I have thoughts.
Put audio in if you did audio.
I have thoughts. I read the audiobook. I don't mind the British accent, but the American accent, no matter where they were from in America, it was like a weird country Southern accent. And I was like, girl, what are we doing? That's not what Americans sound like.
It's so familiar. Nomad did audio. Everybody did audio except me. Oh, Chanel or Channel. Yeah. Chanel did physical like me, but everyone else is audio. So I can't do audio. I'm not a audio. I can't ingest the book, and it's easier to take notes. Like if I do audio, I forget stuff. So it's easy for me to keep present with a book, with a physical book, and easier to take notes for me.
Do the people who read it via audiobook feel like it changed the way that you read the story? Like, did it change how you were present in the book as you read? So for me, I feel like there were several moments where I felt like I was being taken out of the story because of the different voices that the narrator was putting on. I think, and we'll get to it later on, but I did also have trouble visualizing Singapore as the setting. So I'd be interested to know how other people felt about it. But we can carry on if nobody has any thoughts. That's just how it is for me.
Yes, we'll get into more of the setting, but let's just talk about, okay, let's do overall opinions about the book. It's called The Sun Sets in Singapore by Kehinde Fadipe, right? She's a UK, Nigerian UK writer. And yes, I keep putting it down. Audio helped me push through. Okay. So what were your overall, we'll get into the nitty gritty and dissect it later, but what were your overall opinions about the book? Did you like it? Did you struggle through it? Did you finish it? Wait.
Are you?
Okay, wait. Wait, bear with us. We are both trying to pin comments. Yeah. So take Chanel's off. We'll talk about setting in a second. We're going to take Chanel's down and we're going to go to Adelia's. I didn't think I finished the book at first. I don't really be caring too much about the lives of non-Americans. That's my bias.
No,
Woo,
because
okay.
no, because I have thoughts, and I don't want to start the diaspora wars, but I have some feelings about how Black Americans were represented in this novel. I'll just say that.
Okay, well, let's elaborate on that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I feel like it definitely. I think there's this stereotype that Black Americans in particular are sort of ignorant and self absorbed. And this novel kind of leaned into that, right? So we have Lillian, who is believed to be Black American, and she's basically crazy, basically. Then we have, I don't remember her name.
She's Nigerian, but she was raised in America.
Exactly. But before they knew she was Nigerian, I think there's even a moment in the book where like Dara says, no, she's Nigerian, as if like that's her saving grace.
Right.
And I can't remember her name, but there's another character, one of the members of the book club, who is American. And the things that were just coming out of her mouth, I'm like, oh my God, that's not how we all are. It was so like, this is what we talk about when we say that like Black Americans really don't get enough credit for the way that we do impact cultures outside of the US, but also like the fact that we are knowledgeable travelers. We don't just go to different places and ignore the experiences of others. But we really didn't get that depiction in this story, and I was pretty disappointed, honestly. I was rolling my eyes a lot during this.
She definitely could have done we'll talk about Lillian's character in depth. But she definitely had opportunities to maybe introduce some varied so many hot Black novels right now are not written by Black. Yeah. It's not the trend. It's like, you follow the trend. It was the urban books were the trend for a while, and now African writers and African-based stories, Nigerians, Ghanaians, all of their base stories are hot right now. So that's where the editors and the publishing houses are picking up. The tide will change, but that's what's happening. There are many good books. There are many well done books, many narratives that do a good job of what she did not here. I just want to say that. But yeah, I found it lacking in the American. But she wanted to write a book about the Nigerian experience. So she wasn't focused on making us look good. She was focused on creating a story about UK, British, or Nigerians who went to Singapore as expats and to tell their story. So let's talk about that for a second. Chanel says, I found most of the characters cringe in various ways. So while the Americans did not call out great, I personally didn't feel singled out. That part.
That's fair. She dragged everybody. But that part. I did feel like, so whereas like in Emeka, I felt like she was a bit more layered than some of the other characters. I don't think Lillian was really well thought out. Even Dara had more of a backstory that kind of connected to who she was as a person. I don't know that some of the other characters got that same experience, but
yeah. So let's talk about the characters, right? Did anyone identify with any of the character, any part? The characters were a bit shallow. Yes. I didn't feel like learning anything of them. And Bonita says, I felt like all the characters are stereotyped and not Nigerian, but I wonder if that experience is real. It seems too trite.
It made me wonder what's going on in Nigeria. What y'all doing over there? Like, what y'all got going on? because some of the stories that have come out, I'm like, is everybody low key related? Like, are the men just running amok? What's going on?
Okay, so before we let's talk about the good stuff first. Let's pace this discussion. Let's talk about the good stuff first, and then we'll dissect what we found trouble with. Okay, so Adelia says I did identify with Amaka since I'm the outside child of a Niger with several families. Oh, how so? How
Oh yeah.
so? If you don't mind getting, you don't have to tell the specifics, but if you
So
don't mind.
they really do that. They really be doing that.
So she said, and it did a good job of telling the expat experience. So let's start there. I did appreciate, I did some research, and Fadipe says that she wanted to write this book. The idea for this story came out of her living in Singapore as a UK expat, right? As a Nigerian, as an expat, and she saw people, working, living, expats there, Nigerian expats living there, and she wanted to tell their stories, right? That's how the idea came about. So I think she did do a good job. When we, especially most of us here, are come out of the Exodus Summit, new migration as expats to live in other countries, and once we talk about doing sabbaticals, and not working. Or if we talk about working at all, we're talking about people who are working for themselves in other countries. So I think she did a good job depicting why Nigerians, right, end up in Singapore, what work they do, what their family lives look like. What Dar is the lawyer, finance, banking industry, what else, teaching, and then those who just come with their husbands. So she did a great job doing that. I haven't read any books. I haven't read a book about Black expats, let alone Nigerian expats living in Asia. So I think that's a good thing. I think she's put their stories on the map for Asians, right? For people in Asia. It was published there and it's under another name, but she's introduced them to global Black writers in that area. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I do like what you said about how she tells a story about women from different social economic industries coming together, because when you are an expat, you're really meshing with women from different social classes in a way that you probably wouldn't in your home country. So Dara probably wouldn't run in that same circle if she was back in the UK. She'd probably be hanging out with girls who are also professionals.
Right.
She probably wouldn't have met Ameka, because Ameka, while she has like a stable job, she's kind of like, she kind of gives that she wants to be kind of a housewife, like, or she wants to have like these status symbols of other Nigerian women. So she probably wouldn't be somebody who would mesh well with the Dara, who is very career focused. But when you're an expat, you're just looking for somebody who is like you. It
Right.
doesn't really, in whether like that's color, whether that's like a cultural background. You're not really thinking about like, are you married? Do you have kids? Nobody's really asking that. It's just like, okay, we're both foreigners in this place, and you're looking to bond with somebody.
Exactly.
Chanel says that is a good point. I've read several stories framed as Black immigrant stories that are dripping with struggle. This was an expat story dripping with mess and foolishness.
So
Bonita says the interaction with the people of Singapore was good. The community of finding other expats too.
so yeah, and I thought so. This was Keyoka's choice, right? This book was her selection.
Now I feel like I don't want to take credit for it.
No, but see, whatever. Nope. This is your choice. No, I didn't. This was your nomination, But I thought she knew, the fact that they were all part of a book club, and this is our first, it's our book club selection, and we did not know that was not planned. So I thought that was a little serendipitous. Um, I thought that was a cute. She says, "I agree with Keyoka people." What part did you agree with? The So when I asked Adelia about her identifying with Amaka, she says he married my mom in the U.S. while telling her about his other wife, girlfriends, and children. Whew. Okay, so
You know what's funny? People say that if you date, well, this is why there's that stereotype about Nigerians specifically. And so I think it's interesting that a Nigerian author wrote about this and included that in the book, because in America, if you date somebody from an African country, the first thing other Americans will say is like, well, make sure they don't have a wife in their home country, or make sure he's not just trying to get you for citizenship. So it's interesting that she chose to bring this up, because I mean, in a way, it kind of perpetuates a stereotype a little
I
bit.
don't think it's a stereotype. It's a thing, girl. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I'm not
They have
confirming
second wives. There are first and second wives. I have a group of friends in a Muslim community. That is a thing. So it's not a stereotype. I don't think is as pervasive as it is as we think it is, but it's a thing. Yeah.
Well, Chanel says I'm stealing some of the book club's books. Yes, Americana is a very good book. That was one of my. I've already read. I mean, I wouldn't mind reading Americana again. That's a really good book. And I think Americana does a better job of kind of meshing the Nigerian experience with the Black American experience, and it kind of handles our culture with a little bit more grace and understanding, because she's really enmeshed in America. It'd be good to read.
Okay, wait, we didn't finish. Let's go back.
Sorry.
We're jumping around a bit. Let's go back to the setting. Okay. So Bonita says, I think Singapore, I think of Crazy Rich Asians.
I thought I was gonna get Crazy Rich Asians too. I like Crazy Rich Asians, like the opulence, the looks, the very colorful. Like, is the author for Crazy Rich Asians Singaporean?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but it's interesting that she depicted it so vibrantly. Whereas, like, I feel like in this book, maybe some of the setting kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit.
So Chanel says the author did not do a lot of scene setting for sure. I had to use what I've seen of Singapore in movies and online to set the scene. So since it was set in Singapore, I was really hoping there would be more world building, right? Or at least I was hoping actually that she would use Singapore as a character, as one of the characters in the book. That didn't happen, but I really was looking for more lush. I was looking for more like elaborate descriptions. I was. Did anyone feel like reading this book made you want to go to Singapore? Made you want to visit Singapore?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Have you been there? You've been there, Adelia?
Showing how restrictive the government laws can be. Yeah, because there was that scene where the police were called. The police were called a lot. Just, these black folk cutting up.
We'll get to that too. We will get to that too. Oh, okay. Once was enough. Once was enough. Well, do you think she did a good? Do you think Adelia being there? What would you have liked her to like to see more of in the book.
Yeah. Chanel says, if you bother to specify and mention a location that much, something about that piece should drive the plot or some character development. I agree.
Yes.
The title of the story.
Yes.
Set in Singapore.
Exactly. Like I feel like I know more about Kiki's mansion and
Right.
the hotel than I do, and the office, than I do about Singapore. Like I feel like some of the major, she did a few, but some of the major settings, action should have taken place using Singapore as the backdrop, maybe, instead of a house or enclosed. Like we want to see more of Singapore. I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Do we think that this story could have taken place anywhere, or is there an added element because they're expats that it is in Singapore, in Asia? Because I feel like we could have read the same story in Nigeria.
Yeah, that was one of my notes. Like this story could have been picked up and dropped off anywhere, even though it is a character driven story. I get that, but because it's in the name of the of the title, you would think that it would be used more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of my points. Like I think it could have been anywhere, you know, any city, any country. She focused on the Nigerian experience, but only hinted at dynamics between expats and Singaporeans. She could have explored more about why the apartments were so small. Why I was interested in Amaka's problem, her visa problem. I think she should have went more into that in the beginning instead of having that be the end part of her story arc. That would have been added to her stress, added to her shopping addiction, added to all of that. I would have liked to have more, you know, more insight into that. Singapore is very expensive, but she didn't talk about why.
Mm-hmm. Or why Lillian had to live with multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after she got the boot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about everybody's problems. Now that we brought up Lillian.
Let me finish all settings. It was as though the settings was Singapore to draw attention to the story. There was no interaction with the people of the country, a lover engaging with families. Yes, Bonita. Yes. That could have been easily settled instead of having Rowie, right? Rowie, am I pronouncing his name wrong? I'm sure I am. Instead of having him be from India, he could have been from Singapore and had to deal, you know, had more in-depth information about their relationship. I would have liked to see that.
Yeah, that was an easy fix.
That was an easy fix. Easy fix.
Chanel, who has more grace than everybody apparently, says that, but this is a first-time author who wanted her book published. That's true.
That's true. And Chanel, to that point, I did some deep diving. Without giving my opinions on what I think happened, she said that basically this is not a literary fiction book. It's not Americana, right? That's not the story that she set out to make. Basically, it's a light book. So what maybe we're looking for, and she said it was longer. She said, you know, it started out longer, as all books do, but the editors, you know, helped her shape it into this. So I'm thinking, like, in that process, maybe some of the things that we were looking for were lost during that process, to make it shorter and to make it more of a pop book. It is being shopped for TV. It's a lot of melodrama in here, right? We'll get into that too. But it's a lot of melodrama in here, so it is being shopped into a TV series. So yeah, those are things to think about when you're talking about what her first time, she wanted to publish her book. Okay, I interrupted you, Keyoka.
What was I saying?
It was fine for a beach read, as someone said earlier. Exactly.
Yeah,
I think that and I don't think that's what she said. She said, like, it's not a literary fit book. This is what she was going for. She wanted to tell the journey of her expat community in Singapore, and not that she wanted to make it light, but I think this is the beach read. Contemporary fiction is what she was aiming for.
But if Rohit was Singaporean, he probably wouldn't have wanted to talk to Ameka. That would have been an interesting story.
Yes.
There were several.
Yes. Can we get into that and then get into his family not wanting him? Like, that would have been more drama than their fight about him going to the beach. Let's get into that drama.
I mean, Ameka had a lot going on. From her shopping addiction to her daddy issues. She had a lot going on. She probably, she was one of those people that didn't need to be in a relationship.
Okay, I'm tired of all my light books being about the pale people gallivanting. This book is messy, but it is entire Perry level.
I think where I'm disappointed at is because, so obviously I'm biased because I do prefer literary fiction. However, if we're going to talk about, we just need a book that has a lot of drama and it's supposed to be like a quick read that's easy, it's not giving Terry McMillan. Like, it's not giving some of the beach books that we know and love. Technically, she wasn't actually in a relationship. True.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of these story arcs.
Okay.
Let's start with Dara. So I asked if anybody identified with Dara. Y'all really talking in these chats. Let me go back up here to see what part okay, so let's talk about if you're not a lawyer. Do you identify with her struggle to get recognition in the corporate world? Maybe not a lawyer, but in the corporate world, her struggle, her aim to be recognized by her white peers. Does anybody identify with that?
The only time I identified with Dara was when she talked about how difficult it was to make friends and how to fit in. I think I struggle with that. And so I was like, I kind of relate to Dara, where it's like she struggles to connect with people on a non-professional way, but I didn't really understand her ambition. I have friends like Dara who are very ambitious, but I'm not in that place in life. I can't relate. So some of her actions in the story, I didn't really understand. Like, a lot of her competition with Lonnie, I was like, girl, hang it up. I mean, I get it. He's the new hot guy in town. But the whole thing with the presentation, her ruining his presentation and then him ruining hers, it was just like, can we just, like, you haven't had any conversations with this guy. He just is evil just because he's the new black person. So I don't understand that. It's like the competition between them was completely made up in her head.
So let me go back. Adelia says, I know where Dara was coming from, but it didn't resonate with me. Check. Chanel says, everyone I know who is ambitious is smarter. That was a tough part for me. I wanted to sit her down and talk to her. I kept saying this. I kept saying, like, okay, first of all, Dara got on my goddamn nerves. She got on my nerve. You can't be self-absorbed, insecure, passive aggressive, and low key overly sensitive. Pick a struggle. You got to pick a struggle, baby. Pick a struggle.
Not a struggle.
You got to pick a struggle. She got on my nerve. And how I get it. In our 20s, we don't, we're floating through life, maybe early 30s. But how are you so ambitious? You are Oxford educated. You got this far. You have all these accolades, this much education, and you do no self-reflection? No self-reflection. Like at no point throughout until the very, she didn't even self-reflect at the very end. Her story arc, she changed at the very end, but there was no self-reflection. No part did she say, oh, well, maybe I'm the problem. No, we didn't have any insight into how that happened. Even when Amaka said, listen, these people are pitting two Black people against each other to uplift this Chinese company with this Singaporean law firm. Like, even after her friend told her that, she didn't ponder on that to see what was wrong with this. So it made no sense to me. Like, I know we're supposed to suspend our, belief, but that part makes it didn't register. No personal transformation. Bonita said, I wanted to jump in the book and slap her into reality to be a professional and want to go that far. She didn't know how to, so she did even get that position. And you doing manipulative shit, like you trying to throw old boy under the bus for the white end to get white child.
When she poached that guy's client, though, I was like, oh, okay, girl. All right. I didn't know you had to do that.
It was a lot over the top for me. A lot over the top. Yes. So we're all agreed. We're all agreed. It needs to be some, like, even in light melodrama fiction, the character, the probability of actions need to have some base in reality, right? You need to give them some well-rounded, you need to make the characters well-rounded. And to do that, they have to have some type of, insight into why they do what they're doing.
Yeah.
This part. Thriving on Enough. Hi, Thriving on Enough. It was a pleasant surprise when Dara invited Lillian to stay with her. Yes, I was surprised that she had. Yes, okay, good point. Yes, that was good, and that does show her compassion and her empathy. I did enjoy that. I did appreciate that.
But by then I think that was after they had kind of become friendly. So this was when Lillian had already revealed that her parents were Nigerian. I think they met, I want to say they met at that party that Kiki and her husband threw. So this would have been like way after.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
I just think Dara struggles with people, and I can relate in that sense. So maybe she just doesn't know how to navigate these relationships because she's so used to being maybe like one goal minded. Like, I'm going to focus on my career and that's all I'm going to do. So it's kind of like she has tunnel vision and can't see how her decisions, her actions are impacting the people around her.
I think that's what Fadipe was. I think that's why she wrote her like that. I think that's exactly what she wrote. I would just like to see more complex character all around, but with her, for sure. Oh, yeah, Bonita, we'll get into that. Yes. 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 Not even after Lonnie stood up for her. It was like, this is the moment. This is the moment. Self-reflect now. You're still considering that was the moment. It shouldn't even took. They didn't, and we didn't see her go through the process. We just saw them on the train. Now they're partners, but we didn't even get to see how she got to this point. Even after Lonnie stood up for her, got in the fight, got fired for her, that was the moment. It shouldn't even took that long, but that's when some type of change, or we should have seen some type of something from her.
This is true.
That's true, but that happened too late for me.
Yeah, we were at the end of the book at that point.
Yeah, it happened too late. That was the transformation. All story arcs have, your protagonist start at a point, and then that's the ending point. So yeah, she got there, but it took, throughout the book, we could have seen through these conflicts, through these things that kept happening, her gradually getting to this point. We didn't see that. We just saw the beginning and then the end. So yeah, she got there.
But I also almost feel like with Dara, it's kind of like once she sees you one way, it's difficult for her to see you in a different way. So there were several instances where Lonnie was just kind of like, let's work together. Like, let's do this presentation together. Let's collaborate. And she just couldn't get him out of the antagonist spot in her mind to actually see him as a potential ally. Even if you're still filling him out, but she was full on, this is my competition, even when she was losing. That's what I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm. Thriving on Us says, I agree with Keyoka about Dara's inability to see other people other than herself. I think that's what she just got done talking about. Yes, like I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was predictable. Somebody said earlier that, the arcs were predictable. So I knew it was going to happen, but how did it happen?
I thought they were going to sleep together. I'm not going to lie.
Meet.
I was like, plot twist.
Yes,
actually,
me too. And then I would have threw the book. Like, no, this is enough. That's a goddamn enough. That's enough. Yes, I thought that's where she was going with that. I'm glad it didn't happen, but child.
I mean, I hate books that make me stick up for a man. And I really do feel like Lonnie was treated unjustly in this story. Justice for Lonnie. Okay.
Yes. She didn't even get to want to know him, but ran with other stuff they were saying. Yeah, it was over the top. Okay, we've done Dara in. We've done Dara in. Let's talk about Amaka. Amaka. Anybody identify with Amaka aside from Adelia? Let's break it down. So she has, oh hell no. Lonnie knew exactly what he was walking into.
What you mean by that?
What he was doing at the firm, Chanel? Like that he was trying to take her job? You think he knew that? That's what you mean?
You think so?
I
don't know. I don't know that I'm as angry at Lonnie as I think the author wants me to be. I feel like he's just a bystander. He knew he was a spoiler.
At the end, we see that. Like, it was something I did see that at the, like, one of these pages. I'm like, oh, he knew. Because up until that point, I was like, he's just trying to get a job. He's just here to do a job. But then, it was after the slide shit that was going on.
Said lace up. No, but that's true, right? So like in these corporate environments where it's predominantly white, yes, they do pit the Black people against each other. Like there's another book called The Other Black Girl or The Other Black Woman, I don't remember. But basically when there's only a handful of you guys, you're going to be seen as competition. Everybody knows that. But there was a clear point in the book that I felt like, okay, collaboration is needed. They could team up and work together and show the firm that they're both valuable. Or
which he offered.
Yeah.
To Lonnie's credit, he offered and she refused.
Think about, does anybody watch Reasonable Doubt? I don't want to spoil it, but they're two attorneys. They're two black attorneys, and the lead attorney is a woman, and she actually pulls in like Morris Chestnut's character, and she's like, "Listen, I need you to be my assist on this case that I'm working for." And it's like, okay, they at one point tried to the partners tried to pitch the black man to say, oh, we don't really need to make this black woman partner because you're so
Right.
qualified. And he went to her and he said, listen, we both know the game. We've been in this field for a long time. We're not going to let these white folk get between us. Let's team up and do what we need to do. So it's like there was a clear chance. There was a clear time in the book where it was like, let's get together.
He did.
And go do this. And he offered.
Mm-hmm.
And she just didn't want to deal with it.
So Chanel said that trust is earned, not given. You gotta foster those relationships before you make a move. Lonnie and Dar were both sloppy, but that might be the writer being out of her depth. I don't know if she did it intentionally to drive the story, or that she was out of her depth. But yeah, it was. I just wanted Dar to consider it. Maybe not even take him up on it, but even for her character to feel believable, I need you to consider the offer. Okay. Okay, so let's get to Emeka. All right. So you may not work in finance, and you may not have a shopping addiction. It's 9 people in here. In addition to me and Keyoka. Somebody in here got a shopping addiction. Somebody in here identifies with Emeka's shopping addiction. Now, whether you're using that shopping addiction to manage stress, I don't know. To as an avoidance measure, like she was doing, I don't know.
Heavy on the avoidance.
And her inability to
listen. Bonita, same. Okay. Same.
But an addiction and budgeting, I can't budget either. But having an addiction, it's like she was off the rails.
She was buying so many designer stuff, like purses, shoes. People, like when she decided she was going to get rid of everything, the people actually wanted her collection. I don't think I've ever had that issue. If I buy something.
So okay, we define addiction by something that harms you. Once it started harming her, once she started stealing from her mother, stealing from the estate, hiding things.
Stealing?
It was stealing. She stole from her mama. If it's stealing, if you covering it up and you can't tell your mama.
Because it was technically
her and her mother's money.
I understood it as it was just her money. Was her mom also on that house?
Because she had an understanding with her mother. The house, the shares. Because that's why she
started dipping into that house money. I was like, girl, you're not thinking.
Thank you, Adelia. It was stealing. It was stealing. She was stealing. Yes. As a self-soothing mechanism, right? So let's get into that. Let's get into.
Hate that for her.
Let's get into her familial issues, and each character, Dara, Lillian, Amaka, were carrying around baggage, issues, troubles from their childhood that they needed to address and purge, right? Which was causing all of this ruckus in her life, in their lives.
I thought it was this, but because I know that her mom used some of the inheritance to start her businesses in Nigeria, but there's that property that's in the UK that they were getting residuals from.
I think the property was left to her. I think the property and that was left to her. I think somehow the shares the shares
Mhm.
was somehow splitting with her mother, because when it came up, that's why she was trying to put it back, because she was scared the person, her banker or whoever, was going to tell her mother it was gone. So her mother was depending on those shares. So I
Sloppy,
think, yeah,
sloppy work, girl.
yeah.
So what do we think about that? I mean, okay, let's talk about the family dynamic. So we get to hear the meeting that Amika and her mom are having with her father's other children, the in quotation marks natural children who have his last name.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts about how that went? I wouldn't have gave them people that money. As an illegitimate child, listen, that man gonna pay me in his grave. I wouldn't have gave them people that money.
Well, she didn't want to. Her mother made her do it.
Hate that. I hate
So
that.
the dynamic. Let's talk about that dynamic first. First of all, well, her mother made her do it after she found out the financial position that her daughter was in.
And then she did a pop up. Ooh, a pop up, boy. So my mama not around no more. But when I tell you Annette Kinzy used to roll up on me, when she used to just show up and be in my business, oh my God, I gagged. I was like, girl, she coming to yank you up. She coming to yank you up and get in your business.
She said, "Well, I would not have given the money with the thought process made sense. Some of the better writing in the book." So this is what I want to say. I did not identify with the makeup, but I thought her story arc was the strongest.
Yeah.
I thought it made sense. I thought her struggles were directly tied to her trauma, right? If I agree with it or not, she was the only person who did some self-reflection. She knew she was spending, and she knew that, she needed some to ease up. And she knew she was doing Rohit wrong. Like, she knew she was doing everyone wrong. She knew she was doing Dara wrong. We saw that insight. We saw her, have trouble about that. Maybe I should talk to her. Maybe I should tell her. She was the best. She was the best well-rounded character for me.
I agree. Even like her little dalliance with Lonnie kind of made sense, because it was like, oh, he's the new shiny thing.
Yes.
You know?
He was just another, right, the new thing to take her attention off of what was going wrong in her life.
It made sense.
Yeah.
What do we think about her relationship with Rohit?
I liked Rohit. Poor little Rohit.
Poor little Roro.
Poor little Roro. She did him so dirty.
I
seen it coming though. It was predictable. I seen it coming, but I like I like that he was there. It showed, it gave her another aspect to her character. Mm-hmm. She did insight there. Like, I know I'm doing him wrong. I know, I'm using him for this. I know he's a safe place. All of that. And then when he left, when he was fed up with her, you saw some self-reflection there. I liked it.
Good for him for walking away. This is what I don't like about this book. You got me rooting for the men. I said, you better know your worth, Rohit. You better walk away from her. She toxic. She gonna break your heart. She need to do some inner work.
He's seen it. He was like, why am I not going to this beach?
Well, it was that sister. It was his sister when she met, because they didn't really do a lot in scene with the interaction, but the sister clocked her and she told her brother, see, that's how you got to do.
I would have liked that scene to be stretched out more.
Definitely
to see that, because I didn't, when he said she said, I know your sister don't like me, and he was like, she didn't because of this. I'm like, well, we didn't see that.
I was like, I didn't feel that. I didn't get that enough
at all. I didn't see. Okay, I'm glad you told me, but I'll say the sister. I read many Nigerian books, and the family dynamics seem to be the same: father outside, children or first wife, children, then they all die and families clash.
Child.
Part of the movies, part of the TV series. My aunties are hooked on uh Nollywood stories.
They're
Nollywood
good.
series, the same.
They're good stories, and it's interesting to see how how people be cutting up over there.
This Chanel, I had it earmarked. I was like, okay, we're not talking about. Yes, I got to be that nerd, girl. You my girl, Chanel. I had page 68. She thinks about how she would rather have the family than the money, but then she knows her mom wants the money, and it made sense for her. I noted that and said, this is the first time I felt connected to any character. Any character was on page 70. I mean 67, 68 with her saying, yes.
And obviously, I'm toxic as well because I would not have given them people that money. Sorry, not sorry. There are 2 times in this book where Lillian has also given somebody money. I wouldn't have given that man money, and I would not have given those siblings money, especially when they were rude to me. Okay, I'm that kind of petty. Don't speak to me about the coin. Now she has the shopping addiction, but if I spend it, it's gonna be my money. I'm gonna be poor and not give it to you.
So, so okay, I think this was a good time. This, what is your note about displacement, Keyoka?
Oh, is it related?
It kind of is because I think she feels for this. For me, this book is about the 3 Nigerian expats, right, who are searching. They're lost. They're searching for identity, family, right, and community. So I think it ties into I think it ties into a make a story because her feeling of displacement from family and from her mom being in Singapore, not having any footing. I think it fits.
Mm.
I think that is adding to her anxiety and adding to her addiction and adding to her her problems. You don't think so?
So you think like because she's in a new environment, that also makes her displacement heightened? Like these are issues that she's been dealing with her whole life, but the reason why it's gotten out of hand now
Not
is
even just physically, but like emotion. Like, so displacement is also not having a to me, not knowing where you sit in the world, right? Not knowing what place you have set is set for you. So especially in her family, right? We learned later that when her father saw her, when they were children, and he looked at her in her face and then ignored her and got in the car with his other children, like that will shit. Like, who am I now? Who am I if I'm not your daughter? You know what I mean? Like, who? So you can see me on the street and not fucking say nothing to me as a baby. Who am I? Like, that's when it started. That's when her issues started.
which
So
is why
that's
she
when
put
we
a
got
ton of
this
money. But okay.
spiritually displaced.
Yeah. Thriving on Enough says one theme of the book. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. Wherever you go, there you are. Your problems
Yes.
travel with you. Very true.
That part.
Very true. So my question was about how does each character deal with displacement? How are they trying to belong in their new space? Like what are they doing to belong? And how are they coping with feeling displaced?
And she's trying to fit in. It applies to Ameka because she's trying all these things. It's self-soothing, but also she's trying to stunt. Basically, she's trying to stunt in Singapore. Adelia says that it's expensive to live there, so I'm assuming that people are stunting in Singapore, and she wants to fit in.
Bonita asked what was Ameka doing in Singapore? I don't remember. Why didn't she stay in Nigeria and help her mom with her business? Was she running from the family?
She got a job. She was working in finance. She came from UK first, so she didn't come straight from Lagos to Singapore. She was in UK, and then she came to Singapore to work there.
Yeah.
And running the business with her mom wasn't her thing. She's you know, she was educated through her father's input um, throughout their life on the backhand to pay for her schooling. I can't remember if she got educated, if she went to UK to go to school, but basically that's why she was not in Lagos.
I think it's also a bit more than that too, because her being in these different environments and struggling to figure out her identity as a Nigerian woman, even though she doesn't have the family name, and then being in foreign spaces as well. So like being in the UK and not really fitting in, going to Singapore, and like, yes, she has this friend group, but I would say her closest friend is Dara. For a large portion of the book, they're kind of like not really connected, right? Because Dara is so focused on her career, she's not really seeing that Amika is having all these problems.
Dara don't give a shit. She don't care. She don't care about her inner turmoil.
Dara got her own problems going on, right? So then who does Amika have to rely on? She doesn't really have anybody.
Right.
And I would say she's trying to keep up with Kiki and them because, you know, Kiki's the one who's married and has the money and doesn't work and gets whatever she wants.
Kiki and just, you know, the society at large, basically.
Yeah.
She says, Bonita says, I did not feel the book gave me a hint of their dreams. True. I don't think any one of them confronted their past enough to move forward. They were all running from something back home or UK or Nigeria. I think that goes back to, you know, Bonita, you're like us. We're more literary fit people. Literary fiction people. So we are looking for more in-depth stuff. I don't think that's what she was aiming for when she wrote the book. But yeah, I did want, you know, some more hint of some more resolution. Like they didn't confront their past. Again, for me, Amaka did so the best. Dara didn't do any at all. We'll get to Lily in a second, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We weren't really friends. Both were very superficial in their relationship. Maybe that's what she wanted to depict about expat friendships.
Expat friendships can be a little superficial though.
Yeah, maybe that's was deliberate.
Nobody out, but it makes sense. Cause it's like, you know, nobody knows how long you're gonna be there. So you might be my friend for right now. Maybe you're not my friend forever. So I need to like stop with how much I'm going to be transparent with you or be open with you, right?
Dion is agreeing with Adelia, and maybe they weren't friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's agreeing. I'm sorry, you pinning that, I'm pinning.
Chanel says, I'm really struggling with Keyoka's question. I realize the reason is that so much of the book is people not appreciating or seeing the community they have. Right. They aren't really community building within themselves. They have this book club, but I feel like every book club meeting, they're going off to the side and talking about each other. Like, don't you feel like that?
Like, there was no camaraderie ship in this. But what were the elders? What were their name? They were funny. The other book club members, everybody was like, they were the more realistic to me.
Yeah.
Than Dara or
Lily. I told you this. I would have read a book that was all about Kiki. She's the like.
Let's get into it. Let's say that. Say it, Keyoka. Yes.
Because we don't know anything about her except that she's rich. She got these 2 kids that she really don't have to raise. And she has this husband that speaks very highly of her. The only time we really get a look into what her relationship is really like is when her husband snaps at her about one of them kids. Yanks her up. Okay. I wanted to get into that. What is her real life like? Yes. Because there's the outside. I actually, I think a lot of the characters are this way. They have the outside version of themselves that they're presenting to the world, and then there's like all of this internal conflict that we really just scratched the surface of.
We didn't get to see.
We didn't really get to see it. But I would have read a whole story.
I would have loved to have Kiki as the fourth person in the novel, since she was the only one who didn't have a job, since she was, because, you know, she did a good, like we said in the beginning, the expat journey of why these women were in Singapore, right? Dara was a lawyer, finance, Lillian was teaching, but then she does talk about people being here, wives being here and coming with their husbands. And I think Kiki, again, from what I saw, the book was longer. I think Kiki may have been a character, and maybe the editors made her cut it to shorten the book. Because that would have made sense. Lawyer, finance, teaching, and the wife who came with her husband. So we can see the family dynamic. I would have really liked to see that.
Well, technically Lillian was supposed to give housewife, but that kind of fell apart.
You know, all right, so we are talking about Amaka. Let's talk about this Lillian character.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to. She's the main character. Okay, so I'll say this. I identified with Lillian initially because she's an artist. You know, she's a artist. She's a pianist who has lost her passion, right? She also is having fertility problems. I am not married, but I've had my issues with that. So I was like, okay, let's get into this.
I wonder if she was really having fertility problems, or was her body just rejecting that man? Because that's what people don't talk about. This is a public service announcement. If you are struggling to have children with a man, it's probably the man.
It's probably the stress.
It's probably stressing you out. Your body is rejecting him.
The
universe is saying, not on my watch, and you should be grateful.
I'm telling you, say that part. That part. Oh, that part. Your body is pushing out. Well, no, if that was the case, a lot of people wouldn't get pregnant. So that I don't think that's the case. Let's go back to Kiki. Kiki being a cut character makes sense. I do want to give this author what grace I can. Yeah, I think she was cut. I would really like to meet.
I don't think you need to meet her.
But no, I want to know. I think some of these things. I think the editor, they made her make these choices. I'm really thinking that.
Okay, then I'm gonna have high expectations for book 2, because book 2, I feel like you could do what you want.
Is there a sequel?
If they make it into a TV show, they're probably gonna commission her for a sequel.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's true. Okay, so Lillian. Bonita said she was straight up crazy.
How good, sis. My thing is,
wait, before we get to her, do we think this is intentional? Do we think that Fadipe intentionally wrote this girl to be crazy? Because of what you said, because of she was supposed to be the American raised Nigerian, right? Do you think this was intentional, that she made her crazy, or just?
I was just like, man, why it gotta be us? Like, why we gotta have a weird one? Because it doesn't, I feel like any logical thinking person is not gonna be like, oh, he's the reincarnation of my dead father. How did we get there? Okay, A plus B should be C, not Q. What we doing?
Child, wait, we got to get to these comments. She said, talk about character I wanted to shake. Lillian was so frustrating. Chanel says, I identified with Dara when she was trying to figure out just how much to humor Lillian. I have some mentally enabled little friends while trying to be supportive.
Listen, I was with Lillian until Dara looked at that picture of her father and was like, that doesn't look anything like Lonnie. And then I was like, oh my God, so she's crazy. I was like, so this whole time she's insane. I thought for sure, oh, we're gonna find out that Lonnie is another child of her father's or a cousin. I just thought that. But then when Dara looked at the picture and was like, that looks nothing like Lonnie, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, why they all did her like this?
Okay, so somebody's addressing it. I wanted somebody to address it before I did. Bonita says, I understand spiritually and how it works in some cultures, but Lillian did not handle this right. Why did she not go to Lonnie and say, dude, you look like my dad? This is the time. Don't you?
She had several
problem solved.
There were several opportunities for her just to have a conversation. I hated how long it took for us to get that conversation. It was literally toward the end of the book.
Problem solved. Like this story arc made absolutely no sense. It made no sense. Why? The first thing you would think if you see a picture and you see this man, you would say, oh, we're related. Who hurdles over relation to assume that the connection is reincarnation? Who does that? No one does that. No one does that.
Chanel says, I agree, but her husband was unhinged. Let's talk about it, because he didn't have a right to go at that man like that. I'm sorry, y'all. Justice for Lonnie. Why did Warren attack him at that party without even having a conversation? What logical thinking adult does that? That didn't make any sense.
I want somebody to come into this chat and address it before I say it. I screamed when that happened. Why did you scream, though? Why did you scream? When we get to the party, this is the first time Lillian has been in a party setting with these women. The first time her husband is being introduced to these people when the fight scene occurred.
They came to the party and they stirred the pot. Okay. Everybody was having fun.
They already think this American raised Nigerian girl, Tiv girl, is crazy, right? I don't know what Yvonne is driving at, but I took it. You did? Okay. See, I need another perspective. Great. I took it as this author's way of telling us he was abusing her. Do you think that's what that's some of what she couldn't find her voice, she couldn't speak up for herself? Do you think that is what was happening in their marriage dynamic? Okay.
When you say abuse, could you elaborate? Like, because I do think he was emotionally abusing her, but you think he was laying hands? And that is to show that, oh, he's volatile, like he's reactive. Look.
That man was standing there minding his business, trying to get with a maker. It was at a maker. He was having fun with his little godsons. What? Okay, but let's get to this abuse. Does anybody else feel that she was being physically, emotionally abused in her relationship? And if so, okay, let's start there. Did anybody else get this, what Chanel was saying?
I mean, I definitely think there was some emotional abuse. Like, he was definitely holding that "you can't give me babies" over her head, which I don't think is uncommon in a lot of relationships.
Is that abuse, or is that just miscommunication and just frustration? And is that abuse?
Well, abuse can be a lot of different things. I felt like it was emotional abuse because you're trying to weaponize my uterus against me.
Oh okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, but if he thought that she also wanted a child, because they're in counseling, right? They're in counseling. In counseling, she never said, I don't want this baby. I don't want this. She never spoke up for herself.
Yeah, she never spoke up for herself. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they did enough work to show us the conversations that they were having.
That part. They didn't show us enough period about their marriage to even work up to the disillusion of the marriage.
Even that moment where Warren lunges at Lonnie, it's like, what would have possessed you to think that there was something going on, that she was cheating outside the marriage? Because we had already seen the therapy session where you know that she's having. Did she bring that up in that first therapy session? Like how she talks about not wanting to play the piano. I feel like clearly there's more going on with her.
But we could have seen that that's when we're talking about the character arcs, right? She was in session. That was an easy fix. You could talk about this in the sessions so we can see it. So the readers can see it. She didn't know. Initially she didn't.
I didn't like the way he treated her, probably emotionally. I thought because he may have been unhinged over her issues. I don't know, but he also
okay, I'm gonna just say it. It made no sense. The fight scene made no goddamn sense. It made no sense, and it seemed forced. I think her editors made her escalate. It made no sense. It was forced. It made absolutely no sense.
And it also didn't match the person who we were led to believe he was.
Yes.
Right. There were no inklings that he had a violent nature, because people don't just have a switch like that.
And even if you're upset, I can see more you being upset and you think something going on, and then you walk out, you storm out of the party, right? And then we have some type of altercation with him and her arguing. But you jumping on this man, that made absolute no sense. It's melodrama. I don't like melodrama for melodrama's sake. It's like Empire. It's like an Empire. Like what are we even doing here?
Listen,
what we doing?
Don't set Empire astray. Empire was good for a few seasons.
Right? It was. I mean, it's good for what it was, but I don't want to read it. I don't want to read melodrama. It made no sense. So that's what I was trying to say.
But see, this even in counseling, he manipulated the terrible therapist. I don't feel like Warren was somebody who deserved a wife. He did not need to be married because he was not considerate of her needs at all. Your wife is spiraling and you're so focused on whatever it is that you're doing, you don't even see it. They didn't need to be married. Because even the thing with the piano, not even talking about the baby situation, the piano, you know, she's a pianist and you bring this piano over from the US to Singapore. She hasn't touched it. Wouldn't you have more conversations about, hey, what's going on?
Wouldn't she bring it up? Wouldn't in therapy, somebody need to bring this up.
Somebody need to bring it up.
With you, but he was a tool. Even in counseling, he manipulated the terrible therapist. The terrible therapist. Yes. Bonita says maybe he isolated her to the point of losing her voice. I see that. I see that's what it was. Lillian is a character who she's being led by other people in her life, other people's expectations of what she should be. Even the piano, right? She was good at the piano. She liked the piano, but then, you know, she was kind of forced into that. So I can see that she's trying to find her voice, and that was part of her not playing, was her trying to figure it out. But I don't know enough about their marriage. That part. We didn't know enough about her marriage before they broke up.
Yeah, because it did kind of seem like she was just going along with it until she couldn't anymore. Because I feel like she said something about, when he asked to marry me, I just thought, okay, yes. Like I said it before I could really think about it. When he asked to date me or whatever it was, she was just going along to get along in her marriage. But then they hit a wall because she couldn't have a baby, or she didn't want to have a baby.
Mm-hmm. I just needed more. I just needed more to believe any of it. I needed more to see the dissolution of their marriage. I needed even more conversation about how long were they married? Does anybody remember how long they were married? But you've been married this time. Y'all have never had a like at the end when he was like, "You never told me that." When they were sitting on the bench and he's like, "You never shared with me about the trauma that you have about your parents dying tied to this piano." Y'all never talked about that. You never addressed that.
I feel like that would have come up. People just be getting married to get married, child. I don't know. interesting because they say you attract your opposite, so maybe.
Okay. Well, y'all seem to be resonating with Lillian's character more than or believing the character arc more than me. So that's good. Sustainable Steph, are you still in here?
That's her.
Where?
Thriving on Enough.
Oh, that's Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey. Okay. She signed in.
And look, at the end, he came up with a new woman. Sure did. He sure did. Who the real villain of the story? Warren. I had no grace for Warren. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about that. Since you brought it up, the antagonist. Who is well wait, no, before we get there. Are we done with Lillian? Did anybody sympathize with Lillian's? Let's say that. Did anybody not identify, but did you sympathize with Lillian? Okay, you sounded earlier sustainable, so I was confused. I did not feel that Warren was. Oh, okay. No, I didn't think he. No, I didn't. I think she could have. I think I wanted to see more of their relationship. I don't think it's far fetched, but I just wanted to see more so to make it more believable for me. That's all. But maybe I'm the exclusion and not the rule. Chanel said I felt bad for Lillian. Okay. Lillian was annoying. Bonita says no.
Cuts could have been made. That's all. The cuts that were made, I don't know about, but the cuts that needed to be made probably should have happened around Lillian. Because her story just didn't piece together well, right? Like if we look at her story arc, right? So when she's a kid, she loses her parents in a tragic accident. She holds on to that. She somehow realizes that she has this talent for the piano. She starts to be a pianist. She gets married to this man. She decides she doesn't have her passion for music anymore. She wants to just teach English. What's going on?
We're gonna get to that. That's gonna be. I took it off because once we're gonna finish this thought and then we're gonna move to that. Okay. Go ahead.
But then, like, if seeing Lonnie and him resembling her father is the catalyst for her to like go on this change of like, I want to blow up my life, it almost seems like that isn't a strong enough motivation, because, and this connects to Lonnie being the proposed antagonist but not following all the way through with it, because everybody is seeing Lonnie as, okay, he's the new person that's stirring the pot on all this stuff. But I think the reality is a lot of these women have a lot going on, and these issues should have come to a head probably like a few years ago. Right. Okay. Justice for Lonnie. I've been saying that. Justice for Lonnie.
So since we're all talking about it, let's bring them up. let's bring them up. What do we feel about Lonnie's character, in his character and his presence in this novel, in this story, in all, let's start there. And I hate that some people left because I really want to get everybody's input. So this is a women's writer group. What do we feel about him being in this book? Do you think it was okay?
What's up, McGruffin? I feel like Lonnie's just a man. He's just a man. He's trying to be out here. He thotting in the streets, charming the ladies. He has a high-powered job. He flies in, plays with the kiddos, flies out. He's just trying to live his best life as a hot summer boy. He not really with the rah-rah.
The book called Lonnie a mystery, but everyone in the circle knew him. To me, he was window dressing, not really important of the book.
Do we need a Lonnie? Could we have removed him?
She says, McMuffin not short of the origin movie. moves, but the plot forward, but is not actually really part of it. Uh-huh. Okay, so let's focus on this. Anybody else with any opinions before I give my opinion? Yeah, okay. So again, going back to the setting and going back to this being in Singapore, I really would have preferred it being a story about 3 or 4 or Kiki women finding their identity in Singapore without Lonnie. What or without Lonnie being the focus point for each of these women. I think again that the editors made her do this. I think I don't know, but to do this for melodrama. I don't think he was needed as a focal point for each of these women. I would have preferred that the stories be that we get insight on the stories of Dara. Maybe he was Dara's antagonist for her story arc. And maybe Ameka, he could have still had the affair with Meka because that would make sense for their, driving a wedge between them and their relationship. But the narrative about him being related to Lillian seemed forced to me, and not needed. I would have really liked it if we could just focus on Lillian's relationship and her husband, her baby issues, her tragedy with her parents, and that be her arc. That would have made more sense to me.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Did you freeze?
No. Am I frozen?
I have two responses to that. One of them is, I think Toni Morrison said this in regards to white people being present in Black novels, that there's this idea that we don't exist without you. And I feel like that's true here because we have a story that's essentially about women that really didn't need any male side characters, especially not to be the focal point.
Yes.
But as you said, it seems like the editors just wanted it to be a melodrama, so throw in a man there. And this is what's going to get the girls mixed up, as if they don't already have stories.
Real stories. Unless it was intentional, unless she knew that it would get the TV series, the interest, the melodrama would drive interest for a TV series. That could be a thing. But I don't think they needed him to be the focal. And it really didn't make sense in Lillian's story. I mean, in Lillian's story. Bonita says, Chanel agrees with Bonita. We are at the place where publishers will publish a book about imperfect Black women being messy by themselves. You got to have something more marketable in the mix, right? Yep. And maybe, I don't know. I would like to have a conversation with her to see what was her intentions. If when she set out to write this book, he was the focal point for each of these women. I'm thinking about.
I would venture to say yes. I would venture to say yes, because we do have other shows coming out where men aren't necessarily the focal point. In a way, I think there's a way to do this where it's not them obsessing over one man. Do you know?
Right.
I think, because I'm thinking there's the book, The Other Black Girl, there really isn't a man that's the center. It's what's going on between these two Black women. There's other shows like, what's that show with Megan Good? I mean, they're dating in that show, but it's not like one man. It's still centrally focused on women. I feel like we might be moving in that direction. At least I'm hopeful that we are.
Yeah, Harlem with Megan Good. Harlem.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Harlem. Like, they're dating in that. There's also one where somebody is where there's a gay character, and it's also based in LA, but I can't think of the name. I think Lena Waithe is the producer of the show. But I think we're
It's going
moving
now or it's
away
coming?
from having these. Huh? They've already had one season, but I can't remember the name of the show.
Okay. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. They're all in LA.
You know
Uh-huh.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know the
like
name.
all in LA trying to make it in the
Mhm.
industry, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay, so I know it's 3:30. We've been on here for an hour and a half. So is there anyone, we see 7 people still in the chat. Who is here besides Chanel and Bonita? I hope some people are still here because we're about to give the first prize. H and D abroad, are you still here?
It's definitely slow. What'd she
Yeah.
say? Hope y'all are right. It seems to be a slow slog to me. Living single could have been the last heteronormative work of Black art for me, and I would have been fine. I mean, I think there's room for it, but we just need more diverse experiences, right? Like the reality is millennials are not like there's a whole movement about decentering men. And at some point
Yeah.
the entertainment we see is going to have to reflect that because it's not going to appeal to anybody anymore.
Yes. Okay, so H and D abroad is not still in here. We wanted to give the first prize. How do you want to do this, Keyoka?
We can just announce it. I mean,
Okay.
they're not here, but they were the first person in the chat.
Yes.
D
She was the
probably
first person in the
abroad
chat.
was the first person.
So D abroad has won a $25 gift certificate for a book, which will help her purchase the next book if she chooses to do that. She won a gift certificate. I will have to reach out to her to see what local community book store she wants to buy this gift certificate from. So that was the first. Yay, that was the first prize. The second prize will be again for Bonita Lee Penn. She cannot win her own book. Her poetry collection, When the Trees Finally Testify. This will be the second prize. And how do we want to give this second prize out? So I was going to do, all of you all have been participating. Do you want to wait till the end before we give this out? But
To
this
decide.
is yes, to decide who, or you want to do it now?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay. So I think
Everybody's been
off
and participating.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So maybe.
And we would appreciate because I was thinking nobody was going to be here, y'all. So thank you so much for showing up and commenting. And it wasn't just us talking to ourselves.
I think I'm looking here. I'm gonna count. Let me count the
You gonna count
the posts, the comments for engagement, and you go ahead and ask some questions. I'm gonna count. Chanel. We can continue to talk about Lonnie.
We need to pick the next book. If you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comment section because I don't know and I don't want to pick another one because
yes, if you have any suggestions for the next book, we will announce that our next, we won't wait this long to host our next live chat. It will be, when do we say, January 5th?
January 5th. It'll be January 5th. So it's imperative that you get the book as soon as possible once we decide. I can just choose something that I have here that I haven't read.
What was the one that we were talking about yesterday? We'll put the nominations in the group so we all can vote. But if you have a nomination, please let us know. Put it in the chat or let us know in the group.
The people want to know what you sipping on.
Oh, girl, look, I'm trying to pretend. This was tea.
People.
This was tea. It's not wine. I try to be fancy.
Because
I
it's
drink
giving
tea.
brown liquor.
I know. I know.
Listen, next time I will be drinking.
Yes.
So that means we got to pick a good read, something juicy.
Okay, I think Chanel.
Did
Chanel
you see
has
what
more.
I put in the private chat?
No, let me see. Yep, I didn't even see that. So yeah, we're agreed. Okay, we are agreed. Chanel, you will be winning the book. You have the participation badge. You won the participation prize. Yes. So I will. Are you in the Facebook group? I haven't seen that name. Let me know if you're in the Facebook group, please, now. And then I will contact you so you can get your poetry collection. Also, for anyone who enjoys poetry, I have linked
She said
Bonita's.
she was twerking.
She was what?
Chanel a fool.
Oh, she has a different name over there. I will deem. Okay, great. Okay, so you won the book. Anyone who enjoys poetry, I do. Bonita's link to purchase this poetry collection is in the video below. Again, y'all, I am thrilled. This was amazing. We thought we would get 3, 4 people, if any, here to join us.
This was amazing. Drop down some suggestions in the comment section if you catching the replay for this, or if you have some in your mind. We are going to schedule the next book club meeting on January 5th, so that means we need to be deciding on a book this upcoming week. I'll throw out some suggestions and put the poll in the Facebook group. Please vote. So, because we want to make that announcement on Friday to give y'all as much time as possible to actually read the book. So that's all I got.
Thank you, guys. This was so wonderful. This was amazing. We appreciate it. If you did not finish, if you're watching a replay and you did not finish, if you like light reading,
I did not finish.
Good light read. We're not going to give, this is not a recommendation, thumbs up and thumbs down platform. If you like light reading, if you enjoy Empire, I think if you enjoyed the series Empire, you will enjoy this book. Yes. And Bonita is bigging up her poetry collection, The Book Don't Play. There you have it. Thank you for joining us, ladies. We appreciate you.
Thank
See you in the group chat. And we will nominate what books. Please vote. Bye.
Yes. Peace out. Bye.